Body shot. Ooh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Let this be your greeting for the next 90 minutes. My name is Derick G, and welcoming me, as always, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber, the man who was on a hell of a hot streak in 2021, man. It was just Tuesday the other day, right, where it was like 2-22, 20-22, right? And you 22-10, brother. It might be an omen. It might be a sign. I don't know what you want to call it, but you're rolling hot here in the new year, brother. Let me just ask you this straight off of the bat, my man. Give me 1-2 notes on your newfound success. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we had a little bit of a change up from last year, man. So just give me a little note on what's driving the newfound success here in 2022, brother.
Man, Derick, to be honest with you, brother, I've stayed mostly the same way that I've been doing things for a while, but with one big difference I've made, man, trusting that gut intuition. My mom always talks about if it doesn't feel right in your gut, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And this one, if it feels right in my gut, that's the truth. That's the fighter I pick. In fact, there's a fighter coming up where I'm a little on the fence of this one, so I might take my own advice later on. But so far, man, it's been working for me well. I mean, trusting that gut intuition is never a bad idea, and luckily, the rest of it has stayed the same. So it's been working out, which I can't hate. But honestly, Derick, staying with the grind has been the best thing for it. How you doing, brother? You doing anything different, man? You started off a little rough, but you're coming back, man. I see those numbers climbing.
Absolutely, brother. You know, because I had a couple of weeks, I think 3 weeks in a row now, where it's like 5-1, 4-1, and all that, you know, ruining my parlays by one fight, man. But no, in all honesty, man, it's just assessing the game and not freaking out when you have a bad week. Not saying like, all right, let me change up my entire game plan just because I had a bad week or two, man. Not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, right? Like we can't forget our success last year. We were both over 50% last year. So it's like, all right, man, this is a long game. This is a marathon. This is not just a contest for 1 month. We got a whole year ahead of us. And folks, if you don't remember, just to the side of me, folks, you'll see that Bloody Water Podcast belt behind me. Yeah, man, that's what we fighting for this year, man. So don't think I forgot, man. Just because I got it hanging back here, it's not the saying where they say it's hard to wake up and run and do your road work in the morning when you sleeping in silk pajamas or nothing like silk sheets or whatever. It's not like that, brother. We getting after it, man. So, you know, seeing your newfound success too has also motivated me to say I got to get on my goddamn shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it, folks. So before we jump into things, folks, drop a like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Show a little bit of love, to the YouTube channel, Freethinkers Club. YouTube.com/freethinkersclub. You could hit up Bloody Water Podcast. If you don't know where to find us, if you're saying like, hey, I enjoy the show, I see it when you post it on Instagram or whatever, but I don't know where to find it, just type it in on Google. There we go, brother. Right, AJ, man? Just give the people a word. You just type it in on Google. You can find us anywhere, right?
Literally anywhere. You just go up, hit the browser on your phone, hit the browser on your computer, bloodywaterpodcast.com. You'll be able to find everything, man. That's the hub. You got the merch site over there. You can go to videos. You can see our rankings. To go check out our rankings because they're a lot better and it'll make a lot more sense than the UFC ones out there, at least in our opinion. Yeah, man. Bloodywaterpodcast.com. It's the hub. But like Derick said, or like he always says, I mean, it's very important. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you get it. Tell your friends about the YouTube channel. But the biggest, best way, check out the hub, bloodywaterpodcast.com.
There we go, man. Couldn't have said it better myself right there. Now, AJ, let's jump straight into the mix, man. Let's get a little bit of a poster review for this short notice main event that we have on our hands here. Like I said, Bobby King Green, the golden voice here on the Bloody Water Podcast. You will be hearing that in 1 second. He's stepping in, man, like a real gangster does. And he said it. I'm going to go in there like a gangster. I'm going to go into the ring and I'm going to punch Islam Makhachev in his face. And it's like, well, I mean, that is kind of what your job is. That is the name of the game. But that is gangster. I do appreciate that. Now, originally, we're supposed to have Beneil Dariush standing, opposed from Makhachev, but we get Bobby Green. I like this poster, man. I think it's a little fun, a little creative. It's giving off the little drawing, etch-a-sketch type vibes a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But they got the red, you got the big words, you got all the fun stuff. For those who are just listening, we're just trying to describe what we're seeing for this poster. One of the more creative ones this year, but I'm not sure where you're ranking it on the scale of 1 to 10. So what are you giving it, brother?
I actually like this one, Derick. It's a little cartoony. You got the big bold lines. You got the big border, names up and down. And even for a late fight replacement, because you know they had to work on this one late, I like it, man. I'm going to 7. I'm going kind of in the middle, a little higher than the middle. What about you, Derick?
I give this one an 8. I'll one up you a little bit, you know what I mean? I just like the creativity. Once again, like I said, if you are creative, if you're stepping outside of the box, outside of the traditional fight poster that we see every single week, I will award you with some points. So shout out to the UFC's graphic designers, whoever they commissioned for this, man, because I like it. And because they already had a cool one with Dariush, they just kind of like replay, like slap and paste, Bobby Green in there right there. So yeah, I'll go an 8 on that one. Definitely not the highest one, mark in the world, but yeah, we're off to a good start. I like that. And AJ, before we jump into some sleeper fights and all of that good stuff, man, I just don't want to mention we have the Dreamcatcher fighting this weekend at Bellator 275. Gegard Mousasi is defending his middleweight championship against Austin Vanderford, Vanderzant, whatever you want to call it, right, AJ? But listen, man, Austin Vanderford, to be completely honest, he has been a menace in the division. Great wrestler, takes people to the ground, smashes their face in, pure domination. Now, Gegard Mousasi is known for crushing space, getting his opponent against the cage, and smashing them against the cage. So it's like, who's going to be the man smashing the other man? Who's going to be the hammer? Who's going to be the nail? We don't necessarily need to break it down, but it's something that I do want to say. If you had to like kind of rank on a scale of 1 to 10, these are obviously on 2 different nights. I'm almost positive that Bellator is going to be on Friday because they have been going head to head with the UFCs on Saturday, which I think is a terrible idea. Not because they can't do it, but because why? You have your own day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why do it? So yeah, they're fighting the day that this episode drops, right? So tonight, if you're watching this, folks. So if you had to prioritize, right, and it was a UFC main card versus Bellator main card head to head, where are you ranking this Mousasi versus Vanderford in comparison to the Makhachev versus Green? Like, if you had to choose which one to watch and they're both happening at the same time, which one would you tune into?
That's an interesting question, Derick, because in my mind, Austin Vanderford and Gegard Mousasi have a little bit more name power, you know, and maybe it's just because I've been watching this, Spike games for so long that those names kind of ring a bell. And I'm sure, like you said, Austin Vanderzant gets a lot of heat for wifing up a baddie, but I mean, this dude can fight, and Gegard Mousasi has been doing it for years and years and years. So in my mind, those names kind of pop out a little bit more. But then you have killers, man. You got Makhachev, you got Green on this side. It's a little closer in my mind than most people would think. I would actually rate them both kind of in the similar vein. Maybe Makhachev and Green a little bit higher just because of the UFC. But if we're going name recognition against name recognition, man, that's a lot closer of a fight. What do you think, Derick?
Well, to be honest with you, man, I really like Bobby Green's chances here on Islam Makhachev to put on a show, to do something that's like, entertaining, right? I'm not talking about competitive, but entertaining. I think that this Mousasi versus Vanderford, if it stays on the feet, if it's like wrestler versus wrestler who's like, all right, now we're going to kickbox, okay, we could have something interesting, right? But if, you know what I mean, if it's the classic ground and pound style, we're going to get that in both of these fights, but at least in the Bobby Green versus Makhachev, they're going to be talking to each other. It's going to be fun. So I'd have to edge the UFC's main event just slightly. But listen, man, you have to tune into Mousasi. This is one where you have 2 screens. You got the iPad, and then you got the screen, you got the laptop or whatever. You got both of them, you know what I mean? And you watch it both of those. So, I mean, listen, this is a fun night of fights regardless, AJ, and let's jump straight into it. So here is the golden voice of Bobby King Green announcing our sleeper fights, brother.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, my man. So listen, Bobby Green, he said it. If you keep sleeping on me, I'm going to wake you up. I think he's waking the people up here with his main event slot on short notice, but we'll talk about that in a second, AJ. I want to highlight a couple of sleepers, not our featured sleepers, but just a couple sleepers on this card because this is a stacked card. And let's start with the first bout of the night. And we talk about this all the time. You're the first bout for a reason. And these are some names that could be definitely putting a new spot here in the flyweight division, the men's flyweight division. We have Victor Altamirano, who is the former LFA flyweight champion. I last saw him fight on LFA 100, but he's making his UFC debut against Carlos Hernandez, who is another man, got some rear naked chokes on his record. I think 3 of them, 4 submissions in total. It's going to be a fun, fast-paced fight, banger alert, definitely. But I wanted to just ask you real quick, AJ, the reason why the flyweights get the first bout on the main card isn't because, oh, it's going to be boring, let's start it off. But no, it's because you want to have a high-paced matchup right off the bat, set the tone. This is what the night's going to be. It's going to be banger alerts. It's going to be these 2 dudes scrapping, or 2 fighters, I should say, scrapping, leaving it all out there. Not like sometimes we get these heavyweight bouts where it just completely kills the momentum of the card. So I want to know, what do you make of the flyweights getting more love? I mean, it was just a couple of years ago when they wanted to get rid of the division. And also, Altamirano versus Hernandez. That's going to be a scrap, brother. Talk to me.
Oh, it's going to be a scrap, Derick. You want to talk about pace. You want to talk about pressure. You want to talk about veracity. You're talking about the little guys, man. These little 125-pounders, they are crazy fast, have some of the best technique. Sure, they might not have the power of the big boys, but they got everything else, dude. I almost made this one my sleeper because this is a scrap. This is one of those fights that's going to start off the card. And folks, if you're, I know we talk about it a lot where the people don't show up for the prelims. boy, you messing up, because this is a absolute banger of a fight, man. Altamirano versus Hernandez. Both dudes are going to be full pressure the entire time. All the pace. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Like I said, I almost made this my sleeper for a reason, man. This one's going to be a very, very fun fight. And even though they're 125, they still both pack a lot of power in those punches, in those kicks. Very good on the ground. This one can be fight of the night, man. This has a lot of potential on it. And for going forward in the future, you got to watch out for these names, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I definitely hear you right there. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Michael Gilmore, right? So this is Michael Gilmore, who had, unfortunately, I think Johnny Parsons, who he was supposed to fight, man, he had a falling out. It happened. That's the name of the game sometimes, right? But what's beautiful about it is that he gets a short notice replacement, and he still gets an opportunity to fight. Because the last thing you want is you do this training camp, and then you lose the fight, and then you got to pay the training camp, but you don't get the money from the fight. However, the downside is you get Ramiz Brahimaj, who is a motivated man coming off of a pretty decisive loss against Court McGee in his last outing. AJ, this is one of those where you feel for the fighters, right? You say, like, damn, this is kind of a tough break here. You lose your UFC debut to Armen Petrosyan, right? Who is also kind of that tough 29, you know what I mean, competitor series right there. But at the end of the day, my man, this is kind of a win-win for Michael Gilmore. The win is if you have a valiant effort against Ramiz Brahimaj, you get points for that regardless. But then again, if you get smashed, you don't really get points. So, I don't know. It should be a banger. Two really good wrestlers, but I'd imagine Brahimaj coming in for the kill. Let's wrestle. Let's not stand and bang. Let's get him down, submit him. He's a submission artist. We'll see what happens. What do you think of the match?
I agree with you, Derick. I think it's going to be Brahimaj all day long. And on paper, it looks like they're feeding Gilmore to the dogs. But at the same point, Gilmore's a dog to accept this late fight replacement. Can't doubt him. I think he's in a good spot, man. He puts up a valiant effort, gets a lot of credit to his name. He gets the win. Shit, man, that's a hell of a bump. Yeah. I do like Brahimaj a lot in this fight, though, and I think he's going to run away with it. But I've been proved wrong before, and Gilmore, like I said, is a dog.
And if you're a dog, that's all you got to do is bring out that dog mentality. Should be a fun one, but that's definitely not one of the more exciting fights on the prelims, because we have Zhu Rong versus Ignacio Bahamondes, brother. Ignacio Bahamondes is a long man in the men's lightweight division, right? So it's interesting because he's tall and lanky, and he's this really long distance fighter, man, but he packs a damn punch. He packs a kick, right? I mean, listen, he was on the short list for knockout of the year last year, and I don't remember if we even gave him the award or not. We might have given him, did we give him anything off the top of your head?
Not that I can remember, man. There was a lot, but he definitely was up there and he deserved it.
I think for knockout of the year, it came down to like him versus like Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. And I think we might have given it to Usman instead. But that spinning round kick or wheel kick or whatever that he landed in the third round on Roosevelt Roberts was a thing of beauty. Can he reenact that against a Zhu Rong, who's going to be a pressure fighter in his face? I don't know. But the more people who are the more a fighter is looking to pressure you on the feet, at least, the more countering opportunities are there. However, Zhu Rong does average about 4.5 takedowns per fight at a 75% clip. Ignacio Bahamondes is 100% takedown defense. It'll be interesting, especially when you got the long fighter, man. If you're trying to look to pick him up and scoop him up or whatever, it's going to be tough because you're going to have the balance with those long legs. But this should be basically a banger, right? If this one does stay on the feet and it doesn't necessarily go grounded, do you anticipate a finish for Bahamondes, or do you think Zhu Rong can get Bahamondes out of there with his hands as well? What do you think?
I lean a little bit more towards Bahamondes on this one, man. Just Zhu Rong, he's a lot better at the wrestling, but he does have the power. He can easily get things done on the hands, but it's just the striking of Bahamondes, man. It's something to watch. This dude's one of the new age strikers that can hit things that in crazy angles that you never see coming, and those are the ones that hurt you the most. But if Zhu Rong can get the pressure going, start working some ground and pound, put Bahamondes in a position that he's never seen before. Being the younger fighter, I think Bahamondes can get a little mixed up in the motion, man, and that could be the best course of action for Zhu Rong going forward. But at the same point, Zhu Rong has some serious power, so maybe he cracks him. Maybe Ignacio Bahamondes doesn't get in the flow state that he needs to, man. He's not finding that range. There's a lot of things that can go up and down in this fight, and it is a very close pick'em, but it's going to be a banger either way. I'm favoring a little bit more Bahamondes in this one, but Zhu Rong can easily get this done too.
I agree, man. If Bahamondes can stay on the feet, I think that this could be one of those matchups where it's like, all right, man, listen, you got a perfect dude fitting your style, pressuring you. That's what you want, right? But you got to be able to manage the distance. We'll see what happens. If he takes it to the ground, though, and he tries to smash him ground style, Khabib style, I don't know, man. It could be a little bit of a boring matchup. Maybe not the sleeper we anticipated, but either way, you got to get past him. This is going to be a tough test, and we'll see what happens. I think arguably Roosevelt Roberts was a tougher test than Zhu Rong. But either way, should be a fun fight. Now, lastly, AJ, I just wanted to mention we have Alejandro Perez versus Jonathan Martinez taking place on the prelims, and this at the last second got moved up to 145 pounds. And if you remember, folks, Jonathan Martinez missed weight in his last fight, about 4 pounds weight miss. He's missed weight a couple times in his career. Not something you want to see. You're definitely going to have to start moving up when you do it consecutively, right? However, this was on behalf of Perez that they asked for this fight to go to 145. Jonathan Martinez seemed to be game to go 135, and it looks like he obliged for it, man. So it should be fun, especially when you got, like, for an example, I believe we're going to have next week Brian Boom Kelleher versus Umar Nurmagomedov, and it's supposed to be a bantamweight fight, but they're taking it at featherweight. So Boom Kelleher is known for constantly taking featherweight fights against other bantamweights. Just a little more hydrated, a little thicker, a little more power, a little more cardio. Should be a fun one. I'll just put that there. Now, AJ, it's time to do our featured sleepers, brother. So let's get into the joint, my man. We'll start off with yours. This is a short notice sleeper, believe it or not. Number 16 ranked Josiane Nunes versus Ramona Pascual. This is a women's featherweight bout. Now, these two generally fight at women's bantamweight, but because of the nature of short notice, it's at featherweight. Minus 220 is Nunes, plus 180 is Pascual. Nunes, 5 straight knockouts, brother. She's a killer, right? She just knocked out Bay Malecki. You know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Easy to kind of sum that one up. But for Ramona Pascual, she's coming off some finishes herself. And listen, man, good Muay Thai. Her last loss was to Janae Harding. That was like 5 fights ago. This was, not even in a legit, like an octagon, a cage or anything like that, man. This was in like a boxing ring doing MMA style. Interesting, brother. What do you make of this sleeper? There's all these good fights we just talked about, but you said Nunes versus Pascual. That's my sleeper. What really stood out to you on this one?
Derick, the first thing that drew my eye to this fight was that 145-pound weight class, man. The fact that they can do it, even if they're not normally, that's where they're fighting at. The fact that they can do it, it means there's some new blood in the 145-pound division, man. We might see some more people coming in, a couple more challengers, maybe for that strap that the GOAT has been holding for however long, man, eons at this point. Now, I mean, a little bit more for Pascual than Nunes, because Josiane Nunes, really, she's a little small. She's like 5'2", 5'3", around there. So making that 145 pounds is going to be rough because she definitely wants to cut down a little bit. But Ramona Pascual has the frame for it and the power, man. This fight, once I got past that 145 where I was like, oh, maybe we're getting some more life in that division, started doing a little bit deeper of a dive on these ladies, and damn, are we in for a scrap, brother. Josiane Nunes, she might be small, standing, like I said, 5'2", 5'3", right around there, but she hits like an absolute truck, bro. Freight train status all day long. Doesn't just throw one. She throws punches and bunches, always busy, like a little honey badger out there, man. Getting that pressure on, getting that power. When she hits you, you feel it. Same thing with Pascual. She might be a little taller, but absolute demolisher out there, man. Has all the power, and in the most respectful way, she is thick. She has power in those legs, man. You can see when she comes out, she has a wide base, very powerful, throws those kicks heavy, throws those hands heavy, everything you like to see, and she's a finisher, man. Doesn't mind getting in awards to find that finish, in which I love seeing, because it's one of the things that's lacking in the women's division is that kind of tenacity that you're going in there for a finish. There's a lot of point fighters out there, but Ramona Pascual is not one of them. And I picked this fight, first off, just because of the 145 pounds. But then after that, it's gotten even more and more better because these girls are going to go at it, man, from start to finish. Josiane Nunes is going to have all the pressure, and Ramona Pascual isn't going to back down. This is going to be a really, really fun fight. What do you think, Derick? We have a couple contenders in the 145-pound division. Or are they cutting back down?
I think from what I've been reading, brother, they're going to go back down to 135. But that's not an issue because if you have the experience to be able to make 145, you're always going to be in that short list of, hey, you want to take the bout? You want to take a bout against Kayla Harrison? Nah, not these guys, maybe not. But you got to have someone in there if Kayla Harrison does make her long-awaited UFC debut. Will it happen? I really don't know at this point, man. But at the end of the day, you got to have someone at 145. I did just want to ask real quick, just give me a sentence or two. Is Ramona Pascual a future UFC talent, AJ? Did she get the call on short notice because she's a local, she fights at Syndicate MMA, she trains with Emily Whitmire, or has the UFC matchmakers, the UFC brass, seen a little bit of a future potential in Pascual?
I think she has the potential to be here for a maybe not a title run right off the bat, but she's here to be for a long time. She might have got this fight because she's the only one that answered and she's a local, but she does have the talent to get things done, man. You go watch her fights. She's a scrapper.
No, absolutely. My one knock on her is that she is a little bit in an advanced age, 33 years old, man. So getting your UFC debut at 33 is not a bad thing. I mean, DC, he didn't get into the UFC until like 30 or something like that, man. So you could still make a run. But, you know, in the women's divisions right there, you know, let's see how long that shelf life is. Should be a fun fight, man. Tune into that sleeper, folks. And for my sleeper, I got number 41 ranked Terrance McKinney, T-Rex versus the Smile Killer, number 66 ranks Fares Ziam. And folks, if you remember watching this program a couple of weeks ago, I named this as my sleeper. The bout got scrapped because McKinney, one of his cornermen, fell victim to COVID-19. Fell victim to it, or whatever you want to call it, man. He tested positive, man. And at the end of the day, the bout got scrapped. But here we are. We're back. Plus 110 is T-Rex. Minus 130 is Fares Ziam. Fares Ziam, he's the longer, lankier fighter. We've seen him more in the UFC, which is why I definitely think that, you know, he kind of gets the edge here. We've seen him be able to stuff takedowns. We've seen his ground game advance. We've seen what he can do on the feet, which is, I mean, listen, you have a win over Jamie Malaki. You got something going for you, brother. But Terrance McKinney is a finisher. He's not a dude who's really allowing fights to go 3 rounds, man, because if you look at his last 5, he has 4 wins via first round knockout or TKO. Punches, head kick, and punches. His last loss was actually to Darrick Minner, who is a UFC veteran now, and that was a first round submission triangle choke, right? So, listen, McKinney, he has submissions of his own. He has 6 submission wins. Fares Ziam has 4 submission wins. The key that we need to take away from here is that this is 2 high-level prospects. One dude's a finisher. One dude can finish you, but he's more apt to saying, let's draw this out. Let me fight my fight. I want to know, when you have a finisher versus a dude who's more experienced, and this does drag out a little bit, it probably favors the man who's a little more experienced, right? Especially in the big show. Terrance McKinney, if he doesn't land that first round knockout, do you think things start getting a little touch and go, a little shaky over here? Or do you think he's going to be able to kind of draw on his 11-3 experience and say like, no, man, I can get the, I mean, he's never won a decision. He's never lost it. He's never gone to decision, but can he edge one out? What do you think?
I mean, I think he can. You know, obviously he's putting the training in to get things done, but it doesn't bode the best. You know, when you're out there, you miss, you're hitting him with shots that usually drop people. This dude's eating them on the chin, still sitting there staring at you. I think that's really more where the mental game kind of starts to favor Fares on this one, man. I'm interested to see how Terrance McKinney's going to hold up against the size difference. He's used to walking in, being the taller guy. Now Fares has the distance, man. He has the reach advantage and the hind advantage on him. And with the snappy kicks that Fares has, it presents a challenge for Terrance McKinney to actually get on the inside and get that knockout that he likes to land. It's going to be interesting to see, man.
I'm just a little curious right here because let's not forget Terrance McKinney does train at Sick Jitsu, right? Over there with the Michael Chiesas of the world, over there with the Juliana Peña's bantamweight champion, right? You know, if he decides to mix it up and say, no, I'm taking you to the ground. You think I'm just this knockout artist. I'm taking you to the ground and we're getting after it. I'm going to submit you. I'm just going to smash you. Who has more methods of victory, I guess, is my question to you, because both of these dudes can be well-rounded, but Terrance McKinney will take the fight to the ground, where Fares Ziam will say, I will stuff your takedowns and I will keep you fighting on the feet, which is what makes him so dangerous. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Terrance McKinney, in my opinion, does have more tools in the tool belt to be pulling from, and it's a hard thing, man. You go out there, you snatch up some dude's limb, and especially a long, lanky limb like Fares. It's a little easier. You get a little more torque on those joints and bones. But Fares, man, he's very hard to be able to get put in that situation. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Terrance McKinney, and I didn't even see the odds, man. Plus 110. That's a dog right there, man. There's some money to be earned, man. But Fares Ziam, he's the favorite for a reason. He can get it done, and he's a little bit more experienced, so it makes sense to me.
Absolutely. So, folks, it's going to be a banger. Tune in. You don't even got to go on a pick on this one, man. Just tune in for the entertainment. Pure entertainment value right there. Should be a banger. Those are your sleepers, folks. And let's jump into a little bit of main card. How about we get into it, man?
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, folks. So I do want to apologize on the graphic if you are watching. For those who are listening, I guess it doesn't matter. But for those who are watching, I did misspell Armen Petrosyan's name. I forgot an O in there, man. But he's a UFC debutant, and you got to earn it, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to get in there. You got to show why we should be spelling the names right. I'm just joking. I should have did it right. But either way, man, we have a dangerous power striker in Armen Petrosyan making his UFC debut, man. Let's go over the stats one more time for Armen Petrosyan. He is a formerly basically a light heavyweight moving down to 185. He's fought 2 of his 6 career fights at 185, but the other 4 have been at 205. He is a Russian champion in karate, K1, and Muay Thai, and he's a karate black belt. Now, he's coming up against a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner in Gregory Rodriguez, a very skilled grappler who has crazy power in his hands. And at the end of the day, man, he is overcome some adversity. Let's just say it that way. In his last fight against Jun-Young Park, it was touch and go, man. Jun-Young Park was putting it on him. Gregory Rodriguez was the nail in part of that fight, and wasn't a very good nail, to be honest with you, but he overcame, and his power prevailed at the end of the day, and I think that's all that matters, right? 5 knockouts, 4 submissions, 2 decisions for RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. For Armen Petrosyan, it's all knockouts, brother. There's no decision, there's no submissions. He's just flatlining people and getting them out of there. His last fight that got him the contract, the Dana White Contender Series contract, that head kick was disgusting. I'm talking about he slumped his opponent, Kolev, right? He slumped him. He was asleep. Like, he was back against the cage, head drooped down. He was asleep. He was snoring, all that good stuff. I don't know if he was really snoring, but he was asleep, man. So when it comes down to this matchup, man, and someone has to be the nail, who's going to be the nail, and who do you think can be a better nail? Because we saw Rodriguez, like I said, we saw him be the nail against Jun-Young Park, and that's not a very good nail that he was there, but he prevailed. Armen Petrosyan, though, coming down from 205, he might lack a little speed, but you know he has that power all day. So what do you think on that?
I think Petrosyan's the better nail in this situation. I think he's felt harder power. He's felt more of that 205 power that you're talking about, Derick. Where Gregory Rodriguez, I mean, this dude, he's down to leave his head on the center line and swing for a finish. We saw against the Iron Turtle, man, that was a hell of a fight. But Gregory Rodriguez was a little on the losing end until he wasn't, man, which is good and bad for both Gregory Rodriguez. You know, it's an interesting way that he goes, because this dude is very talented on the ground. The jiu-jitsu is absolutely insane for Gregory Rodriguez. But he sometimes chooses not to use it. Like, he literally says, fuck it, I'm swinging, man. This is going to be a very fun fight. Petrosyan, it's interesting to see if the speed will catch up to the power that he was holding at 205. Because all he needs is one, man. This dude is a knockout artist, and he can touch the chin on Gregory Rodriguez, bring in that strength that he had in 205 down to the 185-pound class. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Gregory Rodriguez leads on the front foot a little bit. We'll see if Petrosyan can actually dominate, be that dominating force. Because, they're actually about the same height. So, maybe I was thinking Petrosyan is the bigger guy. He kind of has that bigger aura to him. He's been in the 205-pound class. But Gregory Rodriguez is also very big in his own right. So I think it'll be a little bit back and forth, but I'm going for Gregory Rodriguez on the front foot, leading the dance. And if things don't work out, then he goes to the ground. What do you think?
I think that he's probably going to need to take the fight to the ground at some point if he really wants to be victorious. But I do also worry about cardio, because Gregory Rodriguez, we've seen him get tired in these fights, right? And Armen Petrosyan, you're a big boy coming down. You're not going to have that speed. You push the pace a little bit. You might get tired too. At the end of the day, Rodriguez has a 4-inch reach advantage, 75 inches to 71 in his favor. So maybe sticking it on the feet, mixing in some takedowns, try a little jiu-jitsu, but primarily keeping your distance and trying to smash. I think that might be the way to go. This should be a fun fight regardless, man. At the end of the day, the over and under is 1.5 rounds. Who do you have on the over and under, and who wins the fight and how?
I'm going with the over, Derick, but just barely. I'm going like minute 8, like barely TKO round 2, and I'm going for Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. I think there's a multitude of ways which he can get it done, whether he chooses to, stand and bang first and then go for the takedown later and work that jiu-jitsu, which I think is going to happen, or he does it the opposite, man. Jiu-jitsu first, then takes then starts up banging. Yeah. Either way, he can get it done in a lot of different ways, but I'm going Gregory Rodriguez TKO round 2. What do you think?
I agree with you on that over pick 2, where I'm just going either the beginning of round 3 or like late round 2 in favor of Gregory Rodriguez. And the reason why is because his experience in the UFC, I think, is really valuable, man. Having the win over Dusko Todorovic, where he wasn't able to knock him out. He was smacking him up all day long, but he wasn't able to knock him out. Dusko had a very, very tough chin on that one, and we saw he keeps that chin sky high, and he was still able to take the shots. Very impressive. Maybe it's telling. Maybe Rodriguez doesn't have the power we think. I don't know, because when he fought Jun-Young Park, like I said, man, Iron Turtle, Iron Chin too, and he still slumped him, man. So that was a good one. He didn't really knock him out, but it was a TKO finish either way. But like I said, man, for Armen Petrosyan, with the power that he has, man, if he lands on Rodriguez, it's going to be a quick night. But if Rodriguez can use that experience, stay away from that, stay away from just those open exchanges of I'm going to drop my hands and just let's punch each other, old school rock'em sock'em robot style. If that happens, you got to go Petrosyan. But I like Rodriguez here. I like the over. End of round 2, early round 3. I think he gasses him out, and then he makes him take him to the bloody waters, finish him. I like Rodriguez here. Should be a banger of a matchup to kick off our main card, though. All right, man. Armen Tsarukyan, Joel Alvarez. AJ, we can spend an hour talking about these fighters in this matchup just by itself, right? But we got to condense it a little bit. And we have number 13th ranked Armen Tsarukyan taking a little bit of a risk here against number 18th ranked Joel Alvarez. And really quickly, I just want to make note, Armen Tsarukyan did get the call to fight Islam Makhachev this week as a main event. He already lost to Makhachev, but had a very valiant effort, took him to a unanimous decision, took down Makhachev too. But he said he needed a little bit more time. So real quick, just give me a sentence or two, man. Do you respect that he says, hey, I want to play the long game? Because if I take a short notice bout against Islam Makhachev and I lose again and I didn't get the time to prepare, I have no case for a trilogy, really. So I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to say no right now. I'm going to basically bet on myself saying that he's going to beat Joel Alvarez to potentially set up a future Islam Makhachev fight. Maybe Makhachev gets the belt, bro, at lightweight, you know what I mean? And then Tsarukyan is in that mix where it's like, well, you remember when they fought before and he was able to get the takedown, took him to a decision. Makhachev is finishing everybody else. Just give me a sentence or two. What do you think?
Overall, I think it's a good call. I think at first, on visuals, on paper, it looks a little soft, but there's 5 or 6 other fighters who are in front of that call that also look soft now too, man. So I think overall for Armen Tsarukyan, he's playing chess, which I like, man. He's taking his own. He's betting on himself. Gotta love it. And taking the smart advantage to this because Makhachev is a hell of a fighter. And, it takes a dude with some big cojones to step up on a week's notice. Thank God we got Bobby Green, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So let's talk about this fight, though, right? AJ, we got a wrestler versus a downhill fighter, an avalanche fighter with sick jiu-jitsu, man. Armen Tsarukyan's best path to victory right here is to try to take Joel Alvarez down, get him in the half guard, stay away from the submissions. Striking might not be the best answer because Joel Alvarez will throw you a knee to the body, then a right hook, then a calf kick, then a body kick, and then another knee, then an elbow, and he'll throw all of these multitude of combinations to get you out of there. We saw that against Thiago Moises in his last fight, a fight that a lot of people said, oh, you saw Moises, it took Makhachev 4 rounds to get him out of there. Joel Alvarez is going to stand no chance. This dude got him out of there in like a minute, you know what I'm saying? Just downhill nonstop. Tsarukyan cannot allow that to happen if he wants to be competitive in this fight. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of takedowns in this. I mean, Tsarukyan has 14 takedowns landed in his last 5 fights. Granted, 10 of those came in the Matt Frevola fight. But if you could take down Matt Frevola 10 times, you probably got some good takedown chops, man. You took down Makhachev, all of that. Joel Alvarez is 75. His has a 75-inch reach to a 71-inch reach for Tsarukyan. So literally standing and trading would not be the wisest decision. Do you think? Or actually, I apologize. It's 77 inches to 72, so even more. So do you think, though, man, the height advantage, 6'2 to 5'9 in favor of Alvarez, the reach advantage is going to make it harder for Tsarukyan to be able to get in on those shots? Because he has a very feint-heavy game. Like, he's feint, and he'll throw a right hook and shoot immediately. Very Makhachev style. So do you think that it's going to be harder for him to do that given the length of Alvarez, and Alvarez is going to be able to keep it on the feet? Or do you imagine Tsarukyan does get the takedowns and show off his skills as a wrestler?
I know. I definitely think it's going to be harder for Tsarukyan to be, get on the inside, especially with the snappy kicks that Joel Alvarez presents. I think it's going to be that mixed in with the range and the height advantage. It's going to be a little difficult, but Tsarukyan's the wrestler for the job right here. Another big kind of wrench that could possibly come to play in this fight is the submission attempts of Joel Alvarez. This dude has a sneaky guillotine, man. He's able to just to sneak that arm in under their chin, in under your neck, get that blood kind of stop flowing to the brain. And he's very, very quick with it, man. He has a very sneaky way of just finding the mark, man, which I really like Joel Alvarez for in this fight. But Tsarukyan is just a different animal, man. All pressure, all day long, doesn't care, and very relentless on the ground game, man. This dude, he's just another new breed of fighter that we're seeing coming in where he's a very heavy wrestling attack, but also has bombs in the hands. So maybe he doesn't find the takedown. He's able to land something up top that gets Joel Alvarez thinking, gets him off that downward path, kind of starts gutting in his brain a little bit, and then I think Tsarukyan runs away with the fight on this one, man. Honestly, this can go a multitude of ways. Don't get me wrong, Joel Alvarez is a live dog at those odds, man. Plus 180 for the opening odds. Looking really in favor of Tsarukyan, which, I mean, on paper kind of makes sense. But Alvarez is a live dog. You know what he did to Thiago Moises? Very impressive fight. If Alvarez can stay at range, maybe land a knee, we might not see as many takedowns. But Tsarukyan is an absolute monster out there on the wrestling. So I think Tsarukyan's going to be takedown city all day long. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, brother. I think we just gotta see, man. Just because it's like at the end of the day, it's like it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, he's the wrestler. He's gonna take down Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez, I mean, listen, man, he could say, all right, take me down because I'm going to choke you the fuck out. You know what I mean? Take me down and I'm going to get into these wicked jiu-jitsu scrambles. I'm going to reverse you. I'm going to get on top. We did see Christian Yagos before he got knocked out by Tsarukyan did take down Tsarukyan. So that's just something to take note of. But I did want to just talk real quickly before we give our over and unders and all that. When Alvarez fought Damir Ismagulov, who is just 18 fight win streak, just complete savage in the lightweight division. I'm talking about him every other week for matchmaking. When he did it, you would think, oh, he just took down Alvarez a million times. No, man. He just stood and traded with him. He stayed out of range, in and out movement, didn't let Joel Alvarez's offense get started, and then his offense wasn't really that scary. He beat him handedly over 3 rounds. If Tsarukyan could manage to do the same thing, that would be very impressive, but I think Alvarez is coming for blood in this one, man. In his last 5 fights, 4 victories, all via finish. TKO round 1, submission round 1, submission round 1, and TKO round 2. That does include a guillotine win over Joe Duffy. Very, very impressive, AJ. Over and under on this fight appears to be 2.5 rounds. You going over, under, who wins and why?
I'm going with the over, Derick. I'm going by decision. I'm taking Tsarukyan. I think he's gonna. I'd be more surprised to see him not shoot, stand, and bang than the takedown. Man, I think Tsarukyan's gonna work the takedown, get up on the inside, drag Joel Alvarez into those bloody waters like we like to see, and work his own game. Man, I think Tsarukyan's just next level. But like I said, Joel Alvarez, live dog right there, man.
Yeah, brother. This is basically a coin toss to me, but I'm going to go with Tsarukyan here. I'm going to go with the, you can't say the experience because both of them are 4-1 in the UFC. 19-2 is Alvarez, 17-2 is Tsarukyan. They're so similarly matched here, man. But I'm going to go with Tsarukyan because I've seen Alvarez spend more time on his back, and I do know that Tsarukyan does have the chops to, mitigate those submission attacks. He's never been submitted in his career, even though Alvarez has 16 submission wins. Should be a fun one, man. But listen, yeah, I'm going to go the over. I'm going to go Armen Tsarukyan. I just think he has a couple more tools in the tool belt to be able to get the job done. This dude's calling out top 5ers after all, brother. So it's like, all right, let's get it. And let's not forget Joel Alvarez because we record this on a Thursday. It drops on a Friday. Joel Alvarez still has to make weight. He missed weight pretty bad in his last fight. So as long as he can make the 155 pounds limit, we'll see what happens right there. But all right, AJ, we'll move on to the next one. And listen, AJ, we need to address the elephant in the room, my man. For those who are just listening, we are signaling, not the peace sign, but the eye gouge sign right there. Priscila Cachoeira, the zombie girl, versus Jillian Robertson at UFC 269, blatantly eye poked, eye gouged, whatever you want to call it. I want to say no harm, no foul, because she's here on a main card slot and at UFC Vegas 49. But at the end of the day, you had fans clamoring for her to get cut from the promotion. Not just like, hey, suspend her. No, they said cut her from the promotion. We don't want to see her fight anymore. Even though, dude, she's a knockout artist, right? She has 6 knockouts, over 10 victories. She brings it when she fights. But that was incredibly dirty, and there's really no way around it. Now, can we call her a dirty fighter overall, given that I haven't seen any of this dirty stuff in any other fight? It's just been this one. I don't know. Very bad judgment call on her end. But I want to know, what do you think are the repercussions of her being rewarded with a main card slot after doing this? What's going to be the ripple effect in the UFC? Because then it's like, okay, so I can get away with nut shots then. I can get away with these blatant fronts. It's not as bad as eye poke, right? So you should have no problem putting me on the main card. If I do it, what do you think?
It definitely sets a bad precedent, and Cachoeira may not be a dirty fighter, but she has dirty tendencies, which doesn't bode well. She gets that going from a prelim spot, gouging out Jillian Robertson's eyes, or getting close anyway. Even Robertson said, she's like, oh, it was deep. I felt knuckle. Like, it was very deep in her eyes, and then gets the third fight from the main, from the top of the list. Man, it's interesting because it's a dangerous thing. Sure, you get a little fence grab, you get a little short grab. Okay, no harm, no foul. You fuck with somebody's eyesight, man. That is that's reason to go fight you in the parking lot. Like, that is dangerous. It's fucked up. It's you don't want to mess with somebody's eyes. Even a nut shot, like, okay, you'll recover. You might hurt for a little bit, but it's not the worst thing that could happen. Obviously, there's a lot of bad that could come from that. But the eye gouge, man, it's just it's insane and doesn't set a good precedent for the rest of the fighters out there that say, like, oh, I can. Maybe Uncle Dana likes a little bit of heat over there. He likes a little bit of controversy. Okay, cool, whatever. Let's see how this gets done. very, very testy waters right there, man. I don't like it personally. I think she should have been on at least on the prelims, Like I think, I don't think you reward bad behavior. You feed what you want to grow, just like a plant or a child, and you don't want eye gouges to be the next big thing.
Yeah, so you not only get a main card slot, but you also get it fighting forward, right? You're fighting an opponent with a higher number than you. These are Tapology rankings, but still, the point remains. Listen, Ji-Young Kim, the Fire Fist, Ji-Young Kim, is going to be a tough matchup for Priscila Cachoeira, but I think this is a very winnable fight for Priscila Cachoeira. Aside from the eye pokes, aside from all of this stuff, listen, there's nothing we can do about it at this point. Now, she's fighting. It is what it is, man. And in this matchup, we see Fire Fist, Ji-Young Kim likes to fight behind her jab, but she hasn't been able to utilize her length, man, as of late. I don't know what it is, but she got the 72-inch reach. She fought Molly McCann in her last fight, and Molly McCann brought it. She brought the fight to her, right? She says, listen, I got the short reach. That's not a problem. I'm going to stay in your face. I'm not going to allow you to just jab me up. I'm going to keep you on your back foot, all that. And it was successful, man. We saw that Ji-Young Kim has a very solid chin, but you don't want to be showing off your toughness in your chin. You want to be giving strikes back. You don't want to just be eating a bunch of shots. So if Priscila Cachoeira, whose entire style is predicated on walking forward, getting those flurries off, and once she starts going, she's just as much of a downhill fighter as a Joel Alvarez is, because once she starts putting the combos on you, it can get stopped real quick. Like, I could see this going a 3-round war, back and forth technical, and I can also see this being finished in the first round. Cachoeira just kind of smashes. It depends on the energy both of these fighters come out the gate with. But given that Ji-Young Kim hasn't had the best track record for fighting well off of her back foot, what is her method for victory in this matchup, man? I'm not going to say that it's a shoo-in that Priscila Cachoeira wins. I mean, look, she's a plus 145 underdog here. But this is one of those matchups where you don't look at the odds, you don't look at the names, you don't look at the faces, you look at stylistically, how does Ji-Young Kim win this fight?
Man, footwork all day long. Stay on the outside, stay on the circle, and just keep working, man. I think that's one of Kim's most underrated aspects. Sure, very snappy jab, very fast hands, very nice boxing, and strong, man. She can get the finish, a little bit more of a point fighter, but beautiful footwork, dude. This girl has very impressive footwork, always stays on her toes, bouncy, in and out. She's going to need to stay on the front foot for sure. And if she can stop that downhill pressure that Cachoeira likes to have, it'll be the best way for her to go. Kim is very dangerous, but so is Cachoeira, man. Very winnable fight for Cachoeira. And she's awkward and jittery, so this is the Styles fight, man. I like the way you're phrasing that, Derick. This is a Styles fight. You can't go one way or the other, but it's going to be a fun one either way.
I agree with you, but I will say that footwork that I've noticed watching these last fights back, watching the Alexa Grasso fight, the McCann fight, even the Kasem fight, where she ultimately won. She kind of put it on her opponent. The problem lies in once she starts getting pressured and once you got someone in her face, that footwork goes away. Then it becomes stationary target. So I say the moment Ji-Young Kim stops moving, that's when you have real problems here. Now, she has a good training camp, man. She fights out of Syndicate MMA, all that good stuff, man. Like, she has good coaching. She has good training partners, all that. Cachoeira is fighting out of Figueiredo team. So, she got some good coaches and all that good stuff, too. But I just think that, like I said, if Ji-Young Kim can't mix it up a little bit and maybe try to get a takedown, maybe try to work a little something, which is not really her game, this is just going to be favoring Cachoeira on the feet if she can get in and close that distance and not get ate up by the jab. So either that jab needs to stay popping and you stay on your bike, or you fall victim to the flurries of Cachoeira. That's basically as simple as I can make it here, because if we're looking, it's been a rough go for Cachoeira. Let's not forget, you remember she fought Valentina Shevchenko and she got outstruck by like 150 strikes. Like, it was like literally like 2 to like 150, like crazy. She's bounced back pretty good. She lost against McCann. She lost against Luana Carolina. But she got a win against Shannon Dobson, knocked her out, devastating. Finished Gina Mazzani. That was devastating. And then, when the fight goes to the ground, it's not good for Cachoeira. So if this fight stays on the feet, we'll see what happens. I'll just go straight off the bat, AJ. I don't really have much more to say on this, but I like Cachoeira at live dog odds on here. Unless you got anything else to comment on this one, man. Give me the over and under, which is 2.5 rounds and all that.
I'm going with the over, Derick. I actually like Kim in this fight, man. It's a very closely matched fight. I think if Kim, like you said, can maintain that jab, maintain that footwork, it's going to be really well for her. Kind of frustrate Cachoeira, because once she does, then it's a whole different fight. Like I said, I'm going Kim by decision. I'm taking the over, man. It's going to either way, close fight.
I'm a huge Fire Fist fan, AJ. If you remember in her fight against Molly McCann, I picked Yeon Kim. I was hyping her up. And when I saw the performance, I was like, damn, man, comes to bite me. It's okay. It is what it is. It's the fight game. We all have off days, right? Off nights. But back-to-back against Grasso and McCann, and then we saw the loss against Antonina Shevchenko. This is kind of becoming a pattern here. If you look at, she's 2-3 in her last 5. She is 3-4 in the UFC. And I think Priscila Cachoeira, who is 2-4 in the UFC, is going to be motivated as ever, especially coming off she's a dirty fighter. She's probably going to be like, well, none of this dirty stuff is going to happen if I just knock you out. So I'm going Priscila Cachoeira in this one, brother, and I'm going first round to TKO. I think she gets straight to it. I'm taking the under on this one, man. So am I a fan of the dirty practices? Absolutely not. But do I think she's a talented fighter? Yes, there's no doubting that. We can't even sit there and just kid ourselves here. Cachoeira is dangerous as they come, and she is in the cloth of the Josiane Nunes is, where it's like you don't want to stand and go toe-to-toe with her. So should be a fun one, folks. All right, AJ, co-main event. We got number 48 ranked Misha Cirkunov versus number 45 ranked Wellington Turman. And Turman's been an active man, dude. We've seen him fight a lot recently. But I do want to just make a programming note here, folks, for this matchup specifically. Let's not forget, Misha Cirkunov had his last fight at middleweight. And prior to that, he's fought all of his fights at light heavyweight. So this is new territory for Cirkunov, who is as big as they come, who can grapple as good as anybody else. He fights out of Extreme Couture. But Wellington Turman, man, under the tutelage of Glover Teixeira, the current light heavyweight champion right now, I think that he is going to have some tools and a skill set to make this a winnable fight. I think this could definitely be a winnable fight. But Misha Cirkunov, AJ, we know he has one game plan, and the game plan is, let me snatch up those legs, let me get you on the ground, and I'm going to submit you, I'm going to Peruvian necktie you, I'm going to arm triangle you, I'm going to be top heavy, and I'm going to just smash or submit. Wellington Turman, though, AJ, do you agree with me on this one? Even though we've seen him be very chinny, right? We've seen him get knocked out a couple of times. He's 2-3 in his last 5. Back-to-back KO losses to Bruno Silva and Andrew Sanchez, which were like nasty KO losses. Aside from that, AJ, we haven't seen anybody take down Wellington Turman, like a legitimate takedown. Like, his takedown defense is actually really damn good. So given that Misha Cirkunov is a balls to the wall, let me take you down, and if I can't take you down, I'm going to get really tired and try to strike with you, do you think Wellington Turman says, let me take down defense, stuff, rounds 2, rounds 3, oh, you're tired now. Remember that, big boy, all that muscle you got? Yeah, now it's wearing on you. Now let's go to work. Do you think Turman takes an educated approach here, or is he standing, trading, banging, and ultimately falling victim to the same tendencies? What do you think?
Well, he can get the finish early, man. Turman packs a lot of power in that frame, but Cirkunov is just relentless in that ground game. So I think the best course of action is Turman is just to be defending the takedowns, man. To survive that round 1 onslaught, because we know Cirkunov is going to be nonstop in that first round. Get the big boy a little tired. I actually like the lighter Cirkunov in this fight, man. Maybe not for the full winner. I'm a very back and forth on this fight, man. Cirkunov, very powerful, and coming down, he's actually a little bit faster. I like it. I like the fact that he's a little quicker, a little lighter, but still maintains that power that he used to have. Great wrestling, great pressure. And can Turman stop that? Can he stop the pressure and the wrestling of Cirkunov? That's the big question for me, man. Because if he does, it's a whole new game plan, man. It's like seeing the trees opening up. It's a whole new world out here for Turman. He's able to strike. He's able to get things going. And he's young, man. If he has that young vigor and that young mentality, if you can't hurt me, keep things going, I like Turman in this fight, man. There's so many different ways in which I see this one doing. If Cirkunov starts working those leg kicks, though, we're going to see something that Turman hasn't really been able to deal with, man. Very good in a firefight. Very good wrestling as well for Turman. So there's a multitude of ways. And since Turman's so young, it's almost like which fighter we're going to see. We're going to see that stand and trade. We're going to see him sitting there banging it out. Or are we going to see the wrestler who's taking a smarter approach? I personally think Turman takes a smarter approach in this one. We're going to see a long, drag-out fight, man. Cirkunov is a dog with a lot of time under his belt. It's going to be a very interesting one and a good litmus test for Turman coming forward. What do you think?
I agree with you, man, but I just want to ask you this, man. I feel like I've said it multiple times on this program, but Wellington Turman has all of the tools, all of the skills. I feel like it's just a mental thing. That's the only thing that's been his woes in the UFC thus far, because it's like he's winning these fights until he's not. Like every single time. So do you agree with me that skill-wise, I mean, Turman is up there. I can look at him and I'm just like, dude, you're so good technically. You know what I mean? Your submissions, your offense, your kicks, all of that, your right cross, left hook combo, it's all money. But, you just get caught and it happens, man. So do you think it's a mental thing?
I think it's a mental thing. I also think it's an age thing, man. He's just a little still growing. Like this dude's 25 years old, man, and he's fighting grown men in there. He's still growing, still letting that brain develop a little. It's hard because that's why I said it depends on which fighter shows up for Wellington Turman.
Yeah.
He's either going to be smart, he's going to be ballsy, he's going to be young and reckless, or he's going to come in there with the professionalism of an adult. Either way, he's still a good fighter, though.
Can Misha Cirkunov submit Wellington Turman given his submission pedigree? And he's never been submitted.
I don't think so, man. I think it's going to have to be a ground and pound for Cirkunov to get it done because Turman is very skilled on the mat unless he gets out of his mind. That's a big caveat right there, though.
Can Turman submit Misha Cirkunov given his submission pedigree? I mean, Cirkunov has been submitted twice.
He's been submitted, but this dude's a veteran, man, and he's crafty on the ground. I think both these dudes are going to have to work for a ground and pound TKO. Leave the submissions out the door and work for that position instead.
Round 3, 2 minutes left. Who has more cardio, Cirkunov or Turman?
Man, I'm going Cirkunov just because he's cutting the weight down. He doesn't have as much weight anymore. He's kind of still, and he is very powerful. He does carry a lot of that muscle, but he's dialed it back a little, taking the Jose Aldo approach, which in my mind is a little different. But I think Cirkunov. What about you?
I do remember Cirkunov in his last fight against Jotko, right? He was still able to push the pace come round 2, round 3. Like, he was still able to move a little bit. But when you're doing a lot of takedowns, a lot of wrestling, that's what gasses him out. I just want to make the note. I think Turman's going to have more cardio, and this is why. Even though Cirkunov, since everyone knows he's going for the takedowns, it's kind of easy to defend. It's not easy to defend, but you know what's coming, right? He is 7 of 20 in his takedown attempts in his last 5 fights. He's only secured 7 takedowns, 20 attempts. That means he's shooting. Bro, it's so tiring. Shooting, and not getting it. Trying, using all your strength, and then you don't get it. And he's like, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, come round 3, it might cost him. So with that being said, AJ, I'm going to go straight to it. I like Wellington Turman in this fight. I know he is 2-3 in his last 5, but so is Misha Cirkunov. I know Turman has been knocked out a couple times in his last 5, but so has Misha Cirkunov. So with that being said, I'm going with the young contender, man, the dude who I think has all the skills, who is more well-rounded on the feet than Misha Cirkunov is, and who is damn near just as good on the ground. So with that being said, over and under is 1.5 rounds. I like the over. Give me Wellington Turman, drag it out fight. I got a decision victory on hand for Wellington Turman. Who do you have? Why? And over and under, what you got?
This one's a hard one for me, Derick, because I see it the same way you do. I like the tool belt of Wellington Turman, man. He has a lot going for him. Just that mental always comes into question for me. In my gut, I think Cirkunov, man. We were talking about it before at the beginning. This is that fight that I was talking about where I really like Cirkunov, but my brain tells me Turman's going to get it done. I hope I'm not wrong. I'm rocking with Turman, and I'm going by decision. I think he's going to get it done in those deep waters, man. We're going to see a new breed come out of Turman. I hope so. But like I said, man, someone's telling me Cirkunov. You might want to check him.
Listen, brother, they say you have like a second brain in your gut, right? And that's that gut instinct. I could be making that up. I don't know. But listen, brother, intuition is a hell of a thing, man. So we'll see what happens. This is like notably name-wise, maybe not the biggest thing in the world, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a fun fight, folks. Fun fight. Both of these dudes bring it. And we have arrived, AJ. Islam Makhachev versus number 17 ranked Bobby Green. So this is not a lightweight contest, AJ. This is a 160-pound catch weight. Bobby Green, he did say that when he got the call, he was about like 195 pounds, man. So this is a major cut for Bobby Green. But we know he's been able to do it. He's a veteran of the game. And listen, brother, when we're talking about it, 29, 12, and 1 is Bobby Green. So even though Islam Makhachev is incredibly experienced, right? 21 and 1. Yeah, that's nothing compared to Bobby Green, right? So listen, brother, minus 700 was the opening odds for Islam Makhachev, and deservedly so. Let's be honest. A clash of styles here. I told you I saw Bobby Green fight at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 1. Apologies, folks. That's what it was called, a grappling event, and he got submitted in like a minute. Like, it was rough. I don't know what his belt level is in terms of jiu-jitsu, but last time I checked, he was around the blue-purple belt level, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. I mean, Angela Hill, I think she just got either her purple belt or her brown belt, probably her purple belt. But either way, it goes to show you can be a high-level athlete and not just be the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's all fine. Islam Makhachev, though, he says, Bobby Green's going to talk to me. Well, I'm going to take him down, and I'm going to tell him to get up. How about that? That's clearly the game plan for Islam Makhachev, and I can see this happening very similarly to the Dan Hooker fight, right? Dan Hooker's this dangerous striker, and we're like, oh man, if Islam Makhachev goes in and he catches a knee, what's gonna happen? Listen, brother, he just said, what? I'm gonna throw a right hook and I'm gonna shoot him for a double at the same exact time, get you down, and once you get down, you're not getting up. Can Bobby Green get up if Islam Makhachev takes him down?
I don't think so, man. Makhachev just has that pressure. But Bobby Green started off as a wrestler, man. So he
Yeah.
still has those chops. He's a wrestler that fell in love with the power in the hands, and he's gritty. So maybe. But I mean, until we get proven wrong, you got to say no.
And I listen, man, we're clearly, we mentioned it. We are the biggest fans of Bobby Green. We've been hyping up Bobby Green before he got this newfound, hype where everyone's like, oh, Bobby Green. We're like, oh, do y'all not know who Bobby Green is? Come on, man. This is the dude right here. He's the golden voice here on the Bloody Water podcast, right? However, AJ, listen, man, Drew Dober was a great wrestler, right? But what happened there? Makhachev mauled him. Davi Ramos, Makhachev mauled him. Thiago Moises, Makhachev mauled him. Armen Tsarukyan, Makhachev basically mauled him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when we're going down the list, it's like all these dudes who have really good wrestling chops, it's nothing compared to the combat sambo that Islam Makhachev brings to the table. And the poise, AJ, that's really it. The poise, the calm, collected nature, where he's mangling you and he's just looking over to his corner, Khabib in his corner. He'd be like telling him to do something. He's just like, okay, I got you. And then he just proceeds to do it, just calm as ever, right? Now, can Bobby Green rile him up is the question. This is where I think it gets gritty here, because Bobby Green could probably talk to him all crazy. I'm not sure how well Islam Makhachev understands English, but either there, Bobby Green's going to be talking at him. If he lands a couple good shots on the feet for him, man, he might get him a little out of his mental game, right? Bobby Green still has everything to win here. He has nothing to lose, right? Because at the end of the day, everyone was scared. He took the call, and now if he has a little bit of a valiant performance, win-win. If he goes to a decision against Makhachev, oh, you're ranked immediately. What are we talking about here? But the question is, AJ, Bobby Green, a lot of people, like Big John McCarthy, for example, was saying that if Makhachev tries to shoot on Bobby Green, he's not going to be able to get the shot, right? That he's going to be able to pick him out on the feet. How long do you think Bobby Green can keep the fight standing before the first takedown takes place? Because I do think he has a clear striking advantage.
If Bobby Green doesn't get taken down in the first, I am shocked. It'll be insane. Maybe he lands an uppercut. Maybe we see something that Makhachev has never seen. It's interesting because I do think Makhachev will be able to get the takedown and kind of work for that ground and pound. But at the same point, shit talk is universal, man. Whether you understand English or not, if you've ever been in another country, when someone's talking shit to you. It's very evident in the body language. And when someone's doing that and putting punches in your face, I think Makhachev, especially, I like the new shit-talking Makhachev that he has, man. He's kind of riling up a little bit. I like it, man. He's cutting promos. I fuck with it.
That's right.
But at the same point, now that's in his head. Now he's thinking, oh, this is part of the game. And that's Bobby Green's game all day. So it's going to be interesting to see. But like I said, I think Bobby Green's going to get taken down. If he doesn't get taken down in the first round, I'm shocked. What's more shocking to you, Derick? Bobby Green defending takedowns left to right, up and down, or Makhachev getting a knockout?
Makhachev getting a knockout for sure, man. I don't think that on Bobby Green. Bobby Green's been knocked out twice in his 40 fight career. I don't think that's going to happen, brother. Especially because the striking pedigree of Islam Makhachev is a little fundamental. Not a bad thing. It's just pretty basic, right? Bobby Green's all about the shoulder roll, dipping, dodging, ducking, diving. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. So I just think Bobby Green is just way too crafty on the feet, which is going to make it an interesting fight. But can I see Bobby Green stuffing a couple takedowns? Yeah, and you want to know why? Because he fights with his hands at his hips. So that's leaving you right there with the ability. As soon as the shot comes, you're already ready to go. You're not up here. You're not throwing the strike, and then he's shooting under. It's like he's throwing, and he's already evading. He throws and moves. He's never a stationary target. That's what could give Islam Makhachev trouble here. But let's not kid ourselves, AJ. As big of a fan of Bobby Green as I am, personally a fan, I am a huge fan of him as a person and as a fighter. Skill-wise, in terms of stylistic matchups, we know Islam Makhachev if he grabs a hold of you, it's game over, man. They both basically have the same reach, so it's not like Islam Makhachev has to cover a bunch of distance, and he could be patient, like he was in the Dan Hooker fight or the Thiago Moises fight, where he waited 4 rounds before eventually, you know what I mean, getting the rear naked choke finish. So now let's play a couple of quick fire questions here, right? How many takedowns is it going to take for Islam Makhachev to get a victory here if he does get a victory?
Oof. If Bobby Green can't get up, 3. Okay. But if Bobby Green can get up, man, for 5, 6, it's gonna be a relentless attack that Makhachev has to have.
Okay. And does this fight go 5 rounds?
Ooh, yes. I'm going yes. I think both fights. It's going to be hard to get a finish on Bobby Green. It's same thing, Makhachev, but I think Green can get the finish easier.
Are you curious on what the over and under is on this fight?
If I had to guess, I'd say about 4.5 maybe. What do you think?
1.5 rounds, bro. 1.5. They think Makhachev is just gonna just completely smash Bobby Green, and I can understand why. A week's notice, you know what I mean, to fight a dude like this. Like, I can understand why odds makers say that. I give Bobby Green a better shot than that at 1.5. I mean, come on, bro, that's just disrespect. Give a little respect to the OG that is Bobby Green. But AJ, man, this is basically what it comes down to, man. When he fought Rafael Fiziev and he lost the unanimous decision, that was very telling, right? Because he outstruck Fiziev. Yeah, he lost the decision, but it was a fight of the night. Cool, he got what he wanted, right? He fought Thiago Moises and he lost a fight that arguably, come on, I think he should have won that fight. But both of these dudes had takedowns, right? Let me ask you this, man. How surprised would you be to see Bobby Green take down Islam Makhachev?
Man, I'd freak out, bro. That would put the world on its head and literally everybody question what they know, man. That'd be something to see.
I'm willing right now, AJ, right here, live on air. Listen, I'm not a big gambling man myself, you know what I mean? We'll throw wagers here on this program, but I don't throw my money left and right. I'm willing to throw $10 down right now in a fair shot right here that Bobby Green notches at least one takedown on Islam Makhachev in this fight. Are you willing to take me up on that offer, brother?
Sure, yeah, brother. I'll take you up on that. Man, that's like I said, man, I'll even give you 2-to-1 odds on that.
Oh,
like, that's
shit.
20-10, bro.
Yeah.
I'm down.
All right, man. We'll see what happens. Virtual handshake right there, man. But I think Bobby Green might surprise some folks here, man. I think he might have a much more valiant effort, and I do think he will be in the top 15, win or lose, come the Tuesday rankings update. So don't let me forget that I made this bet, because I definitely might forget and be like, oh, shit. You know, listen, man, if Bobby Green gets starched in a fucking round, obviously, will I be upset? Will I be surprised? No. But you know what I mean? I think that he has the chops to really make this competitive, even on a week's notice. The mental game, that's what it's about. But it's time to give our official picks, AJ. We know Bobby Green's a better striker. Islam Makhachev is a probably more well-rounded fighter overall. But Bobby Green clearly has the experience. He's been doing this thing for a long time, brother. So this ain't this is just another rodeo, another day at the rodeo for him. Who wins, why, and clearly, I know where you're going here, but over and under is 1.5. So where are you going there?
I'm rocking with the over, Derick. There's a lot of things to be taken into account in this one. Does the mental game of Bobby Green get in the head of Makhachev? Yeah. Does Makhachev stick with the smash style? You know, he even said, he's like, I'm not changing shit up. I'm going for the same game plan. Yeah. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I love Bobby Green, man, but I got to go with Makhachev on this one until he loses, and I'm going Makhachev by decision. And honestly, I think it's a win-win either way for Bobby Green, but I do think Makhachev actually gets a dub on the scorecard. What about you? Who are you going with and why?
Yeah, brother. This the same thing. It's the Floyd Mayweather rule, right? You keep betting against Makhachev and you keep losing. You just got to pick him until he loses finally. Is Bobby Green the guy that's going to beat Makhachev? It'd be a hell of an upset, brother. That'd be bigger than the Juliana Pena upset, damn near, you know what I mean? But I think Islam Makhachev gets it done. I'm going to go decision as well, because Bobby Green, let's not forget, he has a decision win over Clay Guida. He got a decision win over Josh Thompson. He's knocked out James Krause. Like, people just don't know, man. I think people just don't give Bobby Green the respect that he deserves, honestly. So I'm going in over. I'm going decision win for Makhachev, but I think Bobby Green, like I said, very, very valiant effort. And let's not forget, he fought 2 weeks ago, man. So it's not like his cardio is completely trash. You know, he's still got a little something in the tank. And you know he's game and willing to dig into those bloody waters right there, brother. So that's the main card for you right there, folks. That is the breakdown of just about every single fight. So with that being said, we'll see what happens, folks. This is literally one of those cards where you're like, it could go 50-50 on every single fight. So whether you're throwing in a 3-fight parlay, whether you parlaying up all 11 fights on the card, man, have some fun, entertain, or watch the entertainment, be entertained by this card, because this is going to be a very, very entertaining card. But just know that even though we got these banging main card matchups, those prelims are so stacked. So do not wait until the main card to tune in. And if you do, go on your ESPN Plus and watch back those prelims when you got some free time, man, because I'll tell you, you will not regret it. AJ, do you got any last words for the people before we get out of here?
Man, if you made it this far in the video, you know we love the support, but we've already dropped where the hub is. Make sure you go share it with your friends. We appreciate it so much, and it's going to be a great night of fights, man. I'm very excited for this one. There's bangers up and down, so make sure you catch the prelims. and we'll see you next week. It's going to be a fun one. Better tune in.
Absolutely, folks. So drop a like, subscribe, hit us up on YouTube at Free Thinkers Club or bloodywaterpodcast.com. You know where to find us, folks. Rate us 5 stars, the whole 9. We will be back on Monday at 8 a.m. to break down the madness. That was UFC Vegas 49. But until then, folks, don't forget we also have Bellator 275. We have KSW 67 and the PFL Challenger Series 2 happening this entire weekend, man. So fights on fights on fights. We also have a LFA card, LFA 125, man. So that's going to be a banger too, man. Just fights all over the place. This is like a great time to be a fight fan, because when COVID was happening, it was kind of just the UFC, right? Just nonstop every weekend. Now all the promotions are getting back to it, and now we have more fights than we have time to talk about. So we will leave you with that, folks. Once again, we'll catch you next time. We'll do it again. Peace, folks.